Uh, First, let me deal with the question. Thank you very much for the questions. With Mawande, first, the question of passionate attack on Zille, where does it come from? Uh, it is not a passionate attack. That is your own characterization. Where does it come from? It comes from the fact that there is uh, lies trafficking by Helen Zille. And if we don't respond to that, it then becomes a fact in the minds of our people. And that is what we actually need to deal with. We respect each other as the two political parties. We respect the DA, and we don't expect the DA to agree with the ANC. We have repeatedly said that the GNU is not a melting pot. And I'm repeating it even now that the DA can campaign against certain policies and will want to use the GNU arrangement to reverse transformation in our country. We knew that attempt will be made, but it will be resisted. And that resistance is reflected in what you characterize as passion. It's not passion, it's what the ANC is. And in this particular instance, we have recognized that we didn't lose power. I mean, we didn't lose power. We were reduced in our majority to the largest party, not with overwhelming majority. And in doing so, we prioritize South Africa first. And prioritizing South Africa first, you work with everyone in the recognition of the fact that you can work with the DA, but it does not mean you can be a prisoner of DA. So we chose a model that works for everybody. Come to the party. And the fact of the matter is that in that model, the DA and the ANC are dominant political parties. It is the ANC followed by the DA in that particular arrangement, and all other political parties. And that's what we need to understand. We've got no arrangement with Malema in terms of the GNU, and there's no discussion between us and the EFF. Neither are we entertaining their situation as a political party. So it's them and only them who understand themselves better. So we are not there. They can speak for themselves about what they want and what they don't want. We last had a discussion with Malema when we were exploring and when we were discussing, when Floyd was still there, about GNU and so on. So we don't have any discussions with the EFF about this country and its future at the present moment. So that's it. Um, uh, Zuma and appeal. Zuma have appealed. The matter is in the NDCA, and we leave it there. So once the NDCA finalize its processes and Zuma's appeal, they will inform us accordingly in terms of the argument, whether or not he wins or not. And so in our books, I repeat, Zuma is expelled. He's not a member of the ANC. He has appealed that decision. So in our books, he's not our member. He's expelled. SABC, whether DA can go, it is informed by this Sabelo, that Samkele, that we did not negotiate with everybody with a cap in the hand. We negotiated honestly and openly, and we informed South Africans. Helen Zille is peddling a false narrative, for instance, that the President Ramaphosa is indebted to the DA for protecting him from the EFF and MK party. Here is the truth. When we negotiated with all political parties, in the DA in particular, which we explained to you, the DA said to us there are red lines, one of which is that EFF and MK party is a no-go area. That's what the Helen Zille said to us, not us saying it to her. Helen Zille said to us there are red lines. What are the red lines? EFF and MK party. We said if that is your condition, we don't subscribe to that. We'll engage with the MK party and the EFF, including yourselves. EFF, on the other hand, said that the DA is a red line but we can work with them against you. That's Floyd. He said so. It's a red line, but we can work with them against you. So it was a scarecrow. They forgot that we've got 40%, and that 40% doesn't allow us to be intimidated with things like writing exams and all of that, like it happened in the past. So we said, go away with your scarecrow. Let's sit down and talk. We went to Zille and his delegation and said that to us cannot be a redliner. We will talk to MK, we'll talk to to everybody, and we don't owe it to you. We'll engage, and that is what is important. Now, Helen Zille says that if business had their own fears post the elections about the possible ANC EFF MK party alliance, is their fears. It's got nothing to do with the ANC. The ANC chose the path of a government of national unity. That's got nothing to do with the ANC. And peddling those lies and trafficking them fast and furious, like Zille is doing, it becomes a fact in the mindset of the people. Like others have been peddling lies that we had a deal with the DA, where there is a deal, this thing is a pact, and all of that. There is no such. There is no such. We engaged, informed by our own perspective. That said to us that we are in this situation where we did not win overwhelming majority. What are the options before us? And we chose the government of national unity. Do we love the government of national unity or any other model that we came across in terms of our own discussion? We don't. Now, for anyone to say, including our friends in the left, represented by Mapaila, that we love GNU, we protect GNU, we defend GNU, it is very much worrisome coming from a person of Mapaila's caliber, because he should understand what is a strategic goal and tactical maneuver. He must argue in that tactical maneuver, as he would have argued, that he doesn't think that DA must constitute that. It's another debate. But to argue that a tactical maneuver is equal to a strategic goal, it's very disturbing. It's actually ideological bankruptcy, to say the least. So these distortions have gone on and on. And in this particular instance, if they are sustained forever and ever, they become a reality on the part of society in general and broadly the young and upcoming cadreship of our party and membership, that the ANC has got a deal that it hatched over the years with the DA. And this question of GNU is not an accident. It is something that has been hashed over time, which again, it must be rebutted because it's a matter that was argued thoroughly, informed by our own perspectives, and we came to this particular conclusion. Now, to equate GNU to the same level as thinking that GNU is the beginning and the end, we love it with passion, and then that is it. No, it's incorrect. We have said GNU can stand, and we believe that others whom are fellow travelers in this GNU, they will decide at some point to get away of it, as it would have happened even in the transitional period in our country. At some point, the National Party did not go with us all the way. If the DA Samkelo decide tonight or tomorrow they want to leave, we can't stop them, because they came here maybe with high expectations that they will run over the ANC, and then we will forsake our large numbers and basically succumb to everything. It's not possible. It's not possible. And that is why we have developed a clearinghouse for engagement. And that is why we are engaging with political parties where we differ with them on issues. So the question of where it comes from about tonight or tomorrow, it comes from that context that if the ANC doesn't want to stay in the GNU and all of that, it is up to the ANC to make that decision. It's up to the DA to make that particular decision. It is not the ANC. And then I think, again, the question of Helen Zille, she has been at pains trying to project the GNU as an arrangement of expediency between the ANC and the DA. She must advocate for what the DA wanted to achieve. The DA wanted an arrangement between the ANC and them. And then the ANC said, no, let's work with everybody. And that is the issue. That's where we are. So, wanting to prove that otherwise, it is something that we believe is not matured for our democracy, is basically taking us back. We are moving forward now. If the DA, through Helen Zille, decide that they want to opt out of the GNU, it will be their decision. But the GNU will continue to govern this country and work with everybody. And there is stability in the country. There is excellent work that we can see, building on the sixth administration going forward. And that is it. And DA ministers in the GNU have been running their own campaign. We are not worried about that. We are not worried about that. We don't spend sleepless nights. If a minister given a portfolio is doing a marvelous job, South Africans, that's what they want. If ANC ministers are seen in the GNU not delivering, it means the ANC must deal with that as a party. We don't spend sleepless nights chasing ministers in the GNU and about this and that, claiming things and so on and so on. We are interested in a government that works for the people. And we know in that government we are a majority. And we've got no excuse not to deliver for South Africans. With our majority, we must deliver for South Africans. And that is why we must not be perturbed by a DA minister who says, I've done this and that. And you look at it, you realize that, but this thing we have done it long time ago. But they say today they are doing it. We will not call a press conference and say, no, Macpherson is lying. He has not done this thing. No, history will judge him. What we want is a government that works for the people, and that's what we support as the ANC. We didn't have any secret arrangement with the DA. We had talks about talks, and we engaged. And that's what is important. So, opportunists and many others, people and all of that who want to distort things, they want to reduce this thing because it's opportunism, that there was a secret arrangement between the NC and the D. We had talks with Helen Zille, and is one of the first political parties, EFF and everybody, we started to talk to earlier on. It was important to talk to her and the DA because they came second in relation to the election. And the EFF and Jacob Zuma party and all of that, they then followed. We then gave them a GNU arrangement. Others came in, others decided not to come in. And that's it. And then we moved on. We are not standing here with a cap in our hand even today. And that is what maybe may define the passion. We don't have a cap in the hand, snenga umuntu, no. Asnenge. Maybe you define it about, we're not. We are principled. We are principled in relation. We went with this arrangement with our eyes opened, but we are not going to we are not going to have people who come at us, eating us piece by piece with lies. You know, we are slepula mus, uti, uramaphosa, yak, and then you leave us like that, and then it becomes a topic that this was a product of capital. Let me tell you, we engaged capital over and above Helen Zille, we as the ANC, and there was no concession. And we told them what we think of them. Because the product that we ended up with in terms of the post election, that's what they worked for. They sponsored political parties in this country, they supported them against the ANC to reduce our majority. That's what they wanted. It's an open secret. We campaigned very hard to win with outright majority. Our own subjective weaknesses affected us. We were not defeated by capital. We were defeated by our own. And you know what I'm talking about. And that is what has actually happened here. So capital with their sponsored projects, those projects fall apart. Moonshot did not work. Did it work? Moonshot, it didn't. It was there, moonshot. What worked was Zuma in this election. Moonshot fall apart with all the support it had from capital, sponsored. It fall apart. And then matured political parties came around the table, embraced the idea, we work for it. For instance, the DA said to us, let's call this a multi-party uh, government. We said, what is the difference between multi-party and GNU? Let's not spend time on useless concept. It's one and the same thing. And then they said that we want a marriage between us and you. We said no. And then they said, no, why do you sign with other political parties? We said it's our call. We signed with the DA. And then Helen Zille started first to dispute everything in the intent, what inclusivity means and all of that. And then when the parties were growing up to 10, he said, no, that is not what we envisaged. Then we went ahead. And then back and forth, you remember the letters which were leaked. And then we told them through our president, take it or leave it. You can go. I'm not saying something that was never said. If she forget, that letter is there. We respect political parties who serve in the GNU, their independence, including their opposition to ANC policies. But we've got no mandate to sell out. That's not our mandate. Our mandate is to keep this together for South Africans and stability and to advance transformation. We've got a clearinghouse to debate issues. Bella Bill. President gave 3 months and said, resolve these clauses. We are now in negotiations with the Freedom Front Plus, Solidarity, and AfriForum. They organize a march to Voortrekker Hoogte with old colors. They call themselves in a democratic South Africa. They bring the old apartheid flag and we negotiate with them this Bella Bill and they act on the clauses that they don't agree with. This bill has gone through parliament. We are very much reasonable. President came to us. We agreed with the president that give them 3 months. We are in talks with them. They are talking to the ANC. We've got a panel of discussions. Even in the clearinghouse, they are dealing with the matter. They organize a march with old apartheid colors. They threaten stability of the country because they can't get their way through. They knew that the ANC being there, we will not compromise on the agenda of the National Democratic Revolution. We will not. And that is where we stand. The DA was invited to the party in the same manner the ANC invited all other parties to the table, including the EFF and Zuma party and many other parties. Subsequent 9 other parties accepted the statement of intent and the GNU. Now we have a clearinghouse, and then the psychological warfare being waged by Zille is premised on the DA's failure to reconcile its role as a party to the GNU, which must serve all South Africans, and its desire to weaken the ANC. There's a conflict there in Zille's soul. We are part of government, of GNU. Will we survive this government? And also, on the other hand, we must build from the carcass of the ANC and become strong. And that is the conflict that she's faced with and that she's seeking to manage by way of dropping snippets there and there. We are not deterred by that. That's the question of uh, 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 GNU, it's a decision of us all. And when it comes to the African National Congress, I can tell you now that we hate GNU. The fact that I must be woken up by an opposition leader every day about this and that, I don't like it. But that's how democracy is. It humbles you. You see, you we didn't win Johannesburg. That Mashaba said he will never work with the ANC. And I said, hey, Mashaba ranks, this thing you are saying will give you palpitations. And then we're in a panel. You remember in Rosebank, I said, leave this thing that you won't work with everyone. Today we are working together in Twan with Mashaba. We are Shaba ranks. We are working there. But he vowed that no, he will never work with the ANC. And let us not distort the conceptual and ideological understanding of what is GN. GNUs and coalitions are formed by political parties not of the same political and ideological background. In their very nature, they are formed by rival political parties. If I were to choose who I want to work with and want to work with alone on ideological basis, it's nothing near to the arrangement that we have. Okay? It's nothing near to the arrangement that we have because our allies are not even contesting for elections. They are not even in government. They are outside. Our people put us below 40%. And then they said that go and work with all South Africans. And that is why we are here today. So we are not in these things by choice. The other choice we had was the one of Grand Coalition. We have been driven towards. Even Grand Coalition, there's no ideology there. You can choose to work with Zuma and work with Malema. There's no ideology there. You work with them because you think you can achieve something out of that. Okay? Uh, uh, you you work in the GNU. The rest of the other political parties, including the ANC, are stable in the GNU. Abantu abakhabalazayo nje nguZille. And then that's it. We accept that. But we don't expect the DA to change and become ANC in the GNU. We expect them to contest because it's a contested terrain. But at the end of the day, you can't expect the ANC to just become a subservient and all of that. The task is to transform and stabilize this country. Services must be delivered. Our people must be served. We've got governments at local government level in this country that are not serving our people. Completely unstable. The mayor is changing every weekend. As we also go into these governments, we are wary of that. And that is why we opened a discussion of stability with the DA and other political parties. How do we stabilize local government going forward? Because in reality, if we go into government stability, the bigger majority parties, if they come together, there will be stability because the two are in charge. But if you go with smaller political parties that are shortchanged from time to time about this and that and deals under the table, there is no stability guaranteed there. But we know that the major political parties, if they come together and say, let's govern, the people, this is the will of the people, there will be stability for 5 years. We can differ about this and that, but there will be stability. Government will govern and it will deliver for the people. Paul Mashatile, I'm not even aware when he's going to the Integrity Commission. I think Samkelo, the person who give you that report must give you feedback as to when Paul Mashatile is a deputy president. He didn't tell me that he's going to integrity, but there's nothing wrong. Because when people go to integrity and they are summoned by the Integrity Commission, they don't seek the permission of the Secretary General. It's fine. I don't sit with them. So I'm saying, as a principled issue, I don't dictate who goes to the integrity. The Integrity Commission does its job without fear or favor. and they call people and people present themselves. So I've got no mandate to account for that. So what I account for is the reports that come from the Integrity Commission about their recommendations, and that somebody has presented themselves and this is the recommend. That's all. We don't discuss the movements of people. That's it. Integrity Commission, the terms of reference have been finalized. Earlier on this morning, I met with the full component of the Integrity Commission. We will make our discussions public in the next coming weeks with the chair of the Integrity Commission. We presented to them the terms of reference and the reports of the NEC on the Integrity Commission, and we will brief the media as and when will be directed by Mahlengi in the next coming weeks on the matters of the Integrity Commission. We have also dealt with the appeals matter in terms of that. So there is clarity about these issues going forward. We'll report to the officials on Monday and the NWC on the engagement of that meeting. Ntebu, Ellen Zille said we're not in a GNU but a grand coalition. Is this existing in our own mind, figmentation, or is it a? She knows that this is not a grand coalition. Um, it's not a grand coalition. It's a GNU led by the ANC, led by ANC as the largest party. Now, even yourselves, Ntebu, I think you guys are well educated. I mean, you should know what is a grand coalition and a GNU. A grand coalition is when two political parties come together and form government. It didn't happen in South Africa. We've got even the party with one seat in the GNU. That's GNU. And when we're discussing this, even in the ANC, post agreeing on the principle, we said, how are we going to appear to be genuine in the face, I mean, in the public of South Africa, if we take everything and just macromanage others, give them deputy there and all of that? We have honored all political parties that have got numbers, and also those that have got attachment to us because of our liberation movement background, like PAC. We said we can't bring PAC into government and give them a post. All posts are important, let me not mention, and so on. And then give them a post like, let me say, deputy in government as the PAC, Liberation Movement. Um, uh, uh, we come from the trenches with these comrades. They might not have the numbers, but we must honor that in principle. So we brought them in the GNU. We did not even bring them. Parties brought themselves in. Other political parties chose, we don't want to be part of government. We don't want to be part of government. As long as Ozibi was very clear, Rise Mzansi, he will probably be a minister or a deputy now. Rise Mzansi was very clear, we don't want to be part of government. We will play our role in the legislature. And Escopa, that's where they are. We've honored that. We and the DA, we are in government at the same time, we're in the legislature. They are checking on us, we are checking on them in terms of government. So our arrangement is a GNU with special characteristics of supply and confidence. That's what you have here. You have government that is there and also in the legislature. The DA, for instance, could have taken a decision to say that we want to be in the legislature, we want to chair committees. You guys run a minority government, will support you. We'll elect Ramaphosa as president and all of that and so on, but we will be in the legislature to keep you in check. Remember, for any options, there are risks. And if you are below 50, you cannot run the show like as if you are alone. Even if the ANC were to run minority government, you must give up the legislature to be in check by the opposition. You can't have them both. When you've got outright majority, you can have them both. You can be in the legislature, appoint your committees, you can run government. Minority government means you are forsaking one part, which is legislature. Speaker will be Speaker of the DA. Other committees will be dominated by the DA, but you will run government. And I'm told that is what some of the people preferred. But they chose that we will be in both. So we are moving forward, and with all the 10 political parties or so in the government of national unity. Lastly, Ntebu, on the contaminated foodstuffs, the ANC is saying we have been dealing with this situation of spaza shops, but only from a perspective of illegal immigrants in our country who have wiped out all the small business people in the townships who used to own these spaza shops and replaced them. Why? Why did that happen? It happened because they come into your township, they sell cheaper goods, and then in terms of pricing, your old father's spaza shop and a guy who come from Sudan or wherever, Somalia and so on, who's owning a spaza shop in the township cannot compete with Mkhize, who for years owned a spaza shop in the township. Ubaba Mkhize still goes to the same wholesale, different wholesale, from where Mahmoud, they don't even call themselves that. Spaza shops ibhalwe eJola. Xa kuvela omnye umuntu. That spaza shop that is owned by this guy cannot compete with this one. And this one is giving people iskolot. The businesses Zabantu Baguti in the local townships collapsed. And then these ones, they become stronger. Their things are cheap. And then it was discovered over time that they are expired. But which wholesale is supplying these people? And then you go to the market, but then so tikilili, the phones we can't trace when we're chasing criminals. Tikilili, tikilili, tikilili. Where is this phone? In the market. Illegal stuff they are doing here in the country. As the ANC, with all of those things, we are saying, as we regulate the environment, close the spaza shops, let everything open from fresh, and at the same time, with the same standards, regulatory framework in the country, which is what is now being implemented. So that we know that the spaza shop in the street here, that is here, it's illegal or legal. How can the people be killed in their townships by businesses in the form of spaza shops that they don't know whether they are legal or illegal? Our people respond to the fact that things are cheap here. And this person can give me a debt without any qualms up to 500. I pay him month end. But these things are cheap. Umkhize uyadura. I'm no longer going there. Eventually, Mkhize closes the shop. In my township where I come from in Botshabelo, the spaza shops and supermarkets that were owned by black people, when I went there, right, I found that somebody else is owning them. And the shop is full. You will never find them empty. It's full. Now, that's the crisis we are facing. We are saying that let us not cry foul like as if we are not in power. We must act. Law enforcement, let the spaza shops close down and then open them through the regulatory framework that we've got, and government must lead. Society must support on the ground this approach. Because government regulates, it must lead in that particular regard. Because we know what are the problems. We know other problems. Now, if we want our people to blame it on us, we must leave it like that. And we can't, as the ANC, allow that. We have said to our comrades in government, We need a clear report like we got it in the NEC. How far have you gone? We know now we've discovered there is a poisonous thing which is given a name I don't know. Last time you laughed at me when I couldn't pronounce it. I don't want to pronounce it again today, Mahleng. So I don't know what is it called. NICD through Mutwaledi have pronounced in terms of what is this poisonous substance that has been found. And people have been arrested. That is most welcome. But our people are able to show us that I ate this tin stuff and it has actually expired in a spaza shop, this and that. We see these things on social media. The task of government is to act and provide leadership. From now on, we will need answers. We will need answers in relation to why are we unable to act and give direction on spaza shops. Let's give direction like we did with COVID-19, we did with every time. When people were dying here with COVID, whether you like it or not, we introduced regulations and were able to minimize the scourge of death among our communities. And that is it. We introduced vaccines. Even till today, we're still under attack. But everybody came to appreciate the spaza shops must go that direction. It doesn't start now. 2019, we had this problem. Yeah, in Soweto, in Naledi, people died from spaza shops. And then it went quiet. It's back now. We can't operate like that. If we win the people and we serve the people, we don't do things because we want to win votes. We win the people because we want to demonstrate the capability of government and the state to intervene. Now, if our deployees are not moving, we must tell them that you are failing the ANC, you are failing the people of South Africa. Act and act decisively on spaza shops. You don't need to be commanded on that particular thing. They must act. They've got the mandate. From the NEC, we debated this thing. We gave them a clear mandate. Act and act decisively. Children are dying. Yesterday or the other week, it is Katlehong. Now we must lament and complain like as if we are not in power. No. There in Ekurhuleni, we are running a local government there in Ekurhuleni. With the national government, let's descend, close these spaza shops. Everywhere in the country, spaza shop nomnikazi wazo. They must come forward. If you don't have the necessary documentation properly regulated, higher must be closed. If you are illegal, amba kai. So that's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. I'm not even want to talk about the economics of spaza shops. I don't want to talk about because we're talking about a crisis now. The economics of spaza shops in terms of local economy and all of that, the impact this make in terms of local business and small businesses, it's another debate altogether that Stella is driving. But in relation to regulating this environment and having spaza shops that are feeding poison literally to our people, no, we can't allow that. The ANC can't allow that. Thank you very much.